I want to tell you something I learned in years of sitting with women in therapy, and honestly, from watching it happen with friends, with family, and in my own life too. And I say this gently because if you have been through a breakup that felt like it came out of nowhere, this might sting before it helps. It almost never came out of nowhere. By the time a woman said the words out loud, she had usually been leaving for months, sometimes years, quietly, internally, one small decision at a time. And in session after session, I watched it happen in the same order, the same stages, almost like a script. Today, I'm going to walk you through those stages, not to make anyone the villain. Nobody is the villain here. But because whether you are trying to save a relationship or trying to understand one that ended, seeing the pattern changes everything. Stage 1 is the stage everyone misreads, the fighting stage. When she is arguing with you, bringing things up, getting emotional about the relationship, it feels awful. I know. But I want you to understand what fighting actually is. Fighting is reaching. She is banging on the door because she still believes somebody might answer it. In therapy, women in this stage would say things like, I just want him to understand. That word, want, is everything. There is still a want. There is still a hope underneath the anger. The wound that gets activated here is usually I am unseen or unheard. And every fight is another attempt to finally be heard. Most men experience this stage as the relationship falling apart. It is actually the relationship fighting to stay alive. The dangerous stage is the one that comes next. Stage 2 is the quiet stage. And this is the one that breaks my heart because many men miss it. The fights stop. She stops bringing up the relationship. She stops asking for date nights. She stops complaining about the things that she used to complain about. And he exhales and thinks, finally, we are in a good place. She is not in a good place. She is in acceptance. She asked and asked and asked. And at some point, she gathered up all that hope and put it somewhere else. Women in this stage would sit across from me and say, I'm just tired, not angry, tired. Anger needs hope to fuel it. Tired is what is left when the hope runs out. If your relationship suddenly got peaceful and you can't point to anything that actually got repaired, do not relax. That silence is not contentment. It might be the last window you have. Stage 3. She starts building a life that doesn't include you, and she is often not even doing it consciously. She picks up a new friend group, a class on Tuesday nights. She opens her own savings account. She starts imagining scenarios, small ones at first. What would the mornings look like? Where would she live? Women would describe these daydreams to me almost guiltily, like confessing something. But this is how the nervous system prepares for a loss it already senses is coming. Here is the wound piece, and it matters. Many of these women carry the wound, I am trapped or stuck, often from way back in childhood. And when a relationship starts pressing on that wound, the nervous system does what it learned to do to survive. It finds the exit. By the time she walks out the door, she's already walked through it 100 times in her mind. That's why she seems calm when she leaves, while he's in shock. He's grieving the end. She grieved the slow loss of the relationship long before she finally walked away. Sometimes love doesn't end because people stop caring. It ends because one person has been carrying the relationship alone for too long. Now here's the part I really want you to hear, because this is the hopeful part. In all those years, do you know what almost every woman said she had wanted? Somewhere back in stage 1? Not a different man. Not some grand transformation. One honest and vulnerable conversation. One moment where he put everything down, looked at her, and said, I can tell something is wrong between us, and I want to understand it, even if it is hard to hear. That's it. That is the conversation. And the reason it almost never happened is not because men are careless. It is because that conversation is terrifying. Being that vulnerable means you might hear an answer that hurts. So instead, most people wait. They hope it blows over, and the silence does the rest. If you are in a relationship right now and something in this video is landing in your stomach, that conversation is available to you tonight. Not to defend yourself, not to fix it in one night, just to open the door she stopped knocking on. But how you show up to that conversation is everything. Because here is something I heard over and over. Many women don't stop talking because they run out of things to say. They stop talking because of what happened the last few times they tried. He got defensive. He turned it around on her. He shut down or got angry or made her feel like she was being dramatic. And her nervous system learned that honesty costs too much here. So if she opens up and your first instinct is to explain yourself, catch it. Take a breath. You are not agreeing with everything she says. You are proving that opening up to you is safe again. That is what actually reopens the door. Not perfect words, her watching you hear something hard and staying open. And one more thing, because it matters. The conversation opens the door. What you do afterward is what keeps it open. So many women told me some version of, he was different for 2 weeks, and then everything went back to how it was. So whatever you hear in that conversation, take one thing from it and follow through consistently without being reminded. Words begin the repair. Action is what makes her believe it. And if she already left, I want to speak to you directly for a second. Understanding this pattern is not about blaming yourself. Hear me on this. The stages I just described take two people, two histories, and two sets of wounds. Hers were in that relationship too. Maybe she never told you what she needed in a way you could hear. Maybe her own wound, I am trapped or stuck or I don't matter, was speaking louder than anything you actually did. You are allowed to learn from something without turning it into a weapon against yourself. The men I have worked with who healed the best after a breakup all did the same thing. They got honest about their part. They got compassionate about the rest. And they got curious about their own wounds. Because those wounds picked the relationship in the first place. And they will pick the next one too if nobody looks at them. The pain you are feeling right now is not proof that you failed. It's proof that you loved, that your heart was open. The part of you that could love that deeply is the same part that will heal you. So here's where I leave you. If you are in it right now, the silence is the alarm. Answer it. If it already ended, the healing now is inward, toward your own patterns and your own wounds. So the next relationship gets a different you, not just a different partner. Nobody taught us this. We all learned how to love from whatever was modeled in front of us before we were 10 years old. That is not a life sentence. It's a starting point. If this video found you in the middle of a breakup or in the quiet stage and you know it, the deeper work on these wounds is what my mini courses on Insight Timer walk you through, where these patterns come from and how to begin healing them. You can find them through the link in my description. And if you are struggling to sleep through this, my deep sleep hypnosis for a broken heart is right here on this channel. Subscribe and be gentle with yourself this week.